Welcome to God Bizness. Thank you for joining us today. And on this episode, just remember to breathe. First and foremost, always remember to breathe. Sometimes we go through life just holding on to so much. And we get used to carrying that weight that we forget we've been holding it for so long. So it's just important to breathe. And when you breathe deep into your stomach, allowing it to expand when you inhale, and relax and contract as you exhale. Letting your body be free and letting go. We'll do a meditation for that. You can check out my YouTube for that. A deep release meditation. So today on this episode, we are going to be talking about that cycle in life that is hard for a lot of us to ever talk about. And that's the cycle of life and quote death. I always have to quote when I think about death because it sounds so grim, that word death. Like, what is death? What is death? That is what we're going to talk about today. Or more of what I like to call transition. So it's interesting because I started thinking about death or transitions early in life because my mother transitioned when I was 1.5. So from about the age of 9, that was actually when I came to find out that she had transitioned. Interesting story. That might be a story time. So at 9, from that point on, I thought about this thing called death. And honestly, I tried not to think about it at all. And just once in a while, it would creep up on me. And I would just get so sad thinking about this death. Where is my mother? How could she leave? That closing, that ending, that final, that transition into what is seen by the human eyes as nothing, from something to nothing. And that is often what brings upon those feelings of such deep grief and longing and all of the questions of, how could you, God? How could you? Seeing transition as death made me have to ask God, how could you? How could you? Even asking her, how could she? How could you leave me? Because at the time, I didn't really think too much about God. I don't know. I grew up learning a bit about Christianity. I mean, we had a kid's Bible, and we went to church once in a while. So, yes, I even prayed. I learned how to pray too when I was young. But I don't know if I really ever thought about God then, or spirit. It's like I just tried to block out so much of that, especially because then I think it would make me think about my mother. And I always felt more like it was her choice, that it was her choice to leave. And I felt so abandoned and hurt, just abandoned. And Mom, how could you? Like, how could you? How could you? More than I know some people feel, or I'll hear them ask, God, how could you? So it's interesting that that was my perspective. But I felt that way for a long time. And it was one dark evening in LA. I was living here. It was my first year living here. And a lot of things were going on in my life. And I seemed to be having a hard time emotionally, very much emotionally, financially, in a lot of ways. I was a bit down bad, you would say. But it was just kind of the start of it getting down bad. Oh gosh, that girl was going through it. It's okay though. That one way that girl was getting through it was with meditation. And I had been doing this. I started meditation in college. And then when I went to LA, I remember this specific day. I get home and I had had a very turbulent day. I had encountered this person that I felt like had a lot of spirits that I couldn't. Ooh, that was tough, okay? And then also, I don't know, I just felt so emotionally overwhelmed, and I felt that there was a lot of spiritual energy going on because a few days before that specific day, I had been having these repeated visions about me crashing a car. Interesting. And I felt that in these visions, it showed me, like at the end, it became black as if I had, quote, died. I had never felt like this before. I'd never seen anything like this. And it was the same repeated vision, I'm telling you, for days. Until this one day where things almost came to a head. And that vision I saw came to life, except I was able to stop. And I didn't crash. But then my emotions crashed for sure. And, it's crazy even thinking about that. After that day, that was also the start of my first day at this job too. I came home from work and I had a roommate at the time. And we did a meditation together in her room first together. And then that was a beautiful meditation. And then I went into my room and I closed the door and I sat on the floor and I did another beautiful meditation, a different one. And this one, the meditation at some point said, call in your spirit team. And in that moment I did, as I'm meditating silently, I feel them come to me, and it's a lot of them. And the guide was also saying this of, seeing them around you. And I saw them all around me. And then there was one specific spirit that came in front of me, and I knew it was my mom. And it was just like she presented herself to me, and I felt, oh my God, I felt a feeling. I felt a feeling that I knew I had felt before. Yeah. OMG. So this feeling let me know that it was her. And it's a feeling that begins even before my spirit entered her womb. But okay. Because I don't have any memories of my mother, like visual memories. But I have emotional memories. And in that moment, I just knew. And that was a beautiful experience. That was a beautiful experience. And in that moment, I knew that life is eternal. In that moment, I knew there could be no such thing as death. And it just was so clear to me. It was just so clear to me. So that that all brought me to this conversation here today. That was a long intro just to say yes about the feeling of death and what I like to call transition. So I was thinking about this today, and I looked out the window as I am now, and I'm just looking at, I would say, the air, but the clouds and the sky, the air. Just visualizing, seeing this outside of my window, and I thought to myself, what would it feel like to just float in the air? Like, not needing a cloud to support you, if a cloud could even support you, but just imagining floating on that invisible force that is everywhere, that is going into your body as you breathe, that is filling our rooms, our empty cups, that all of the space outside is filled with this air. And I thought, what would it feel like to just lay in the air? And I'm going to do a meditation of that too, so stay tuned. So as I thought about that, it started making me think about transition. And I was like, wow, now it makes sense. It makes sense because I watched this video by Nolsa. She's on TikTok and YouTube, but I watched a live of hers, and she was saying how death is a freedom for your spirit, because as human beings, we are a bit limited in what we can do, unlike when we were in spirit form, right? Because we were spirits before we entered these bodies, and we once again will return to our natural full self as a spirit. And as I was looking out the window, I'm thinking, it makes sense, because as a spirit, I know what it feels like to lay on the air. I believe that's what it is like when you transition. You can move in the air. You can be part of the trees. You can be in the grass. You can be omnipresent, right? Everywhere at once, because you are part of everything that is. As the spirit, like the air, it's in everything, right? Like the particles move through us, into our skin, out of everywhere. The air is us, right? We are the air. And our spirits know that. Our spirits know that. And that's why transition is not a sad thing. It's not a period of remorse, because the spirit has released itself and returned home. And it was just the time, at whatever time that happens, that was just enough time for the spirit, right? The spirit had taken its full potential out of that human body, right? Because, oh my gosh, this reminds me. Last month in October, the same month of my birth, shout out to October, OVO's very own. So last month, I experienced the first funeral I've ever been to in my life. And y'all, and I tell you, before I went to the funeral, I was nervous. I'm like, what is funeral etiquette? Like, what is funeral decorum? How are we supposed to behave? Because no one talks about these things. When do people ever? I have never heard people just talk about funerals and transition and what it's like in real honesty. So I just had no idea what to expect. But last month, I learned what to expect. So we walk into this funeral home and we walk up, and this time we arrived pretty on time, actually. So shout out to us for getting there on time. And we walk up and we take a seat. And the funeral home looks like there's 2 rows of those benches that are kind of like at a church. Funeral homes kind of look like a church a little bit, but it's like a ceremony hall, a place, that has a hall, but the inside of the room kind of resembles a church. And I'm going to tell you more about this because at one point I was like, whoa, this is kind of like a wedding. So it's interesting. Let me tell you, settle in. I hope you are enjoying, maybe drinking a warm glass of yogi tea with that cute little inspirational quote. Just breathing. Whatever you're doing, make sure you're breathing. And settle in, because I have a story for you. If you ever wanted to know what funerals are like, here you go. Or well, anyways, what my first funeral experience was like. So, yes, we go in here and it kind of resembles a church. And they have all these flowers up there at the front. And my family, because this is my uncle's wife, so my aunt's cousin that transitioned. And we sit on the left side, pretty close to the front, with my uncle and my aunts. It was a nice group of us. And we sit there. Oh, I didn't even mention, before we got there, I was trying to decide what to wear. And I was like, I do not want to wear black. Please let it be so I don't have to wear black. It was almost like I felt if the requirement was to wear black, I couldn't go. And for me, this is very important because I don't really wear much black in general. And that's because black is very absorptive, right? Just like when you wear black outside on a hot day, you get even more hot, right? And people are like, man, today was not a good day to wear black, right? Because you absorb all of that heat. And think about it. When you're absorbing that heat from the sun, that's a good energy, right? The sun is a healing source, a light-filled source that feeds your body. So even though, you're getting hot and sweating, that is a great source of energy to absorb. Whereas we as human beings are all just like the sun. we emit a frequency, an energy. And this literally and figuratively is heating and cooling other things, right? You can feel that heat, and sometimes that heat is in a nourishing way, but sometimes the heat can burn you. So we are all these energy sources moving around this earth. And often we attract energy sources that are like our own energy source. So then you guys are feeding each other. And the more in alignment that is, not necessarily the better it'll feel, because if you guys are both emitting a low frequency, then you might both be hurting each other. But sometimes that's why you get stuck together and feel like, oh, this person is for me. But yes, they definitely matched your frequency almost exactly, but you were hurting each other, right? And then there's also a high vibrational attachment where you're both feeding each other. It's like a woman and a child, the umbilical cord connecting them two. They're both feeding each other. As being, sometimes we look at it as like the mother is feeding the baby just because she's eating and drinking these things, which are vital to the child's existence. But that baby is a new energy source, and it too begins feeding its mother from the moment it enters its womb. It's feeding it life. It's enriching it with that light that has just come from the Creator. And that's why I believe that babies are so connected. They know what's going on. They were just there in that light energy with God. And now they're bringing all of that light into that mother's womb. And so it is a miracle because they're both feeding each other. So that gets back to talking about how even after baby's born, it is its own energy center. Just as all of the people you bump into and meet, we are all energy centers emitting our own frequency, which affects the people and the things in our lives. So getting back to the funeral, I can talk about all these on separate videos if you'd like. Make sure you comment and let me know your thoughts or what you'd like to hear more about. But getting back to the funeral, I said I was not going to wear black because I know energy is powerful, and I do not want to be in a sad place absorbing everybody's sad energy into me, especially because on top of wearing black, I am an empath. So I feel energy and people, and I can read not only the room, but I can read people. So I would never wash my hands, wear black to a place of mourning. And for me, even the whole time leading up to this, like I wasn't necessarily sad about his transition. Like I was like, whoa, like that's crazy that happened. And I was sorry that the family is sad because I know that they were sad, but I wasn't necessarily sad about it. And this even goes to how I also felt at the funeral. But because for me, I just felt like it was a transition. Like it just changed. He's not gone. In fact, he's more present than he's ever been. When he was here, he was living in a place where mostly none of his family lived. We hadn't seen him in a while, but now he's here in my room. You know what I'm saying? He's here in my room right now. So, okay, I decided I was not going to wear black. I called my aunt. I'm like, please tell me, do we have to wear black? She said, no, you can wear anything, you know. And she was like, you can even wear one of your African outfits. She was like, yeah, because at our funerals, people sometimes often wear their traditional wear, this and this. I said, okay, great. And I had this cute dress. I'm pretty sure it's from South Africa. And it was very cute and bright. It was pink. It's pink and it has some yellow on it. This bright pink dress, right? And it's not like bright pink. It's a soft pink. But the dress just looks bright overall. Excuse me. So I decided that's what I'm going to wear. And it's still feeling warm outside, so not bad. And did I have a sweater? I'm pretty sure I did. Or I wore a scarf over my shoulders. And we go into the funeral, right? And we get there. And like I told you, it has those benches that are reminiscent of the ones at church. And we sit on the left side. And we sat down. And the coffin was like diagonal to me. And it's in the right corner of the room. And it was interesting. They had lots of videographers there and they're recording and taking pictures and stuff. And his body lay inside of that coffin. And the coffin, was half open, the leg part covered. And from the side that I was sitting at, I could see just the side of his face. And at first, it looked like, I was wondering, does this look like him? And then from the side, I was like, okay, it looks like him. It looks like the guy I remember a little bit. And I just sat there and I kept asking my aunt, because everybody else was going up. When they came in, they would go up and they would sit and, look at him and maybe pray or talk, because this part was the viewing. And I was asking her, like, should I get up there and look? She was like, you can go and look. I'm not about to look. And I was like, I kind of want to see. I'm interested. I've never seen this. I'm curious. What's this? What's this dead body thing? What's this thing that y'all be talking about? People talk about going to funerals and people pass. Let's see this. And it's interesting because this isn't the first, quote, dead body I've seen, because I took anatomy and physiology in college and we worked with cadavers, which are human bodies that have been donated to science. But there, they didn't have skin. So it wasn't like they were real people to me. But this was somebody that I knew. So I'm curious to see, still, because it has the skin on it. I'm like, oh, let me see what this is like. And I was nervous to get up. And then right before the funeral started, she said, okay, we're going to give the family a few minutes and then we're going to start. And I was like, okay, this is my last chance. I might as well just go look. And I got up and I walked, but I was still probably at least 6 inches away. And it's not because there was somebody in front of me. I just didn't want to get too close. I was scared. I just needed to peek. And I looked and I thought, wow. Ew. And not to say ew, but it was just whoa, no disrespect. No disrespect to, and I believe, my intentions here and my heart. So I was just in shock. I just couldn't believe that he looked like this. And not that he looked terrible, but he was also more expanded, and I knew him to be a slim guy, and he looked swollen. It almost looked like he had gained 50 pounds. And I was wondering, was that how he was right before he passed? Because I hadn't seen him, but we saw the pictures and recent pictures, and he was not that big, but it looked blown up. And I don't know if this is graphic, but this might be of interest to people who've never been to a funeral or seen any situation like that. But yes, so that was the first thing that shocked me. And after I just peeked, I'm telling you, I peeked and I was like, okay, had enough. And I went and I sat down. And I didn't understand. The other people was standing up there looking and talking for a while. I'm like, I am not talking to that body. I gotta go. And I sat down, and I'm telling you, in that moment again, made that phrase come to life, that life is eternal. And I could see that this body is just a vessel. It's almost like, it's just like a car, right? And that's why you have to maintain it. You have to take care of it. You have to maintain it. You have to put the oil in it before it goes all the way out. You have to change the brakes before the tire completely spins out on you, right? Like, you have to do these things to maintain this car if you love it. Like, imagine you just got your brand new Rolls-Royce Cullinan. You are going to be making sure people not even getting those dirty, those rugs on the inside. People are going to have to take off their shoes getting into your car. You understand? So you have to take care of your body like you would take care of that car. Sponsor me. That is an amazing car. A Rolls-Royce Cullinan. Back to the topic at hand. So, yes, in that moment, I'm thinking, obviously, the body is a shell. The body is just a shell. It's just like an egg. And I think chickens are great examples of that, or vertebrates, or invertebrates. Which ones are the ones that lay eggs? The ones that lay eggs are a good example of this, because you see the egg, and at first the egg is just an egg. Right? Until it's given that seed of life. And together, it's like that seed makes these two seeds become the seed of life. Boom. It starts expanding. And the animals that lay an egg are a good example of showing that this is just a case. And outside of it comes a spirit. But instead of a walking chicken, you can just imagine the spirit. It was outside, then it came into this shell, and it said, okay, I'm going to inhabit, and it inhabited the shell when it was in a smaller form, in a very vulnerable form, a form that is easily damaged. Like, if you can think about a flower, that is a real flower, right? Just even the wrong soil will kill your flowers. Not enough water or too much water will kill those plants right away. And that is a newborn child. And a spirit takes on its venture into this life inside of the most vulnerable thing you can gift a human, a baby. And the spirit is okay to be in that vulnerable form because it knows so clearly that it is God. It knows what God is. It knows the power that it is. And so it's okay. And it just trusts. It trusts. It completely trusts. Because it's connected to all that is. And it's not that goes away. But sometimes we forget about that connection. We forget about that connection that we always have to our source, to God, to light, to the sun, to all that is. And that connection is within. And because it is easy to forget, sometimes we need to do things to remind us. And one of the most powerful things I have found to remind me of my connection to my source, to God, to feeling the confidence that I have within myself, to looking in the mirror and being able to see God, to knowing and experiencing the most beautiful things. Every day I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I'm alive. And this is amazing. And every day this keeps getting more amazing. I meet the most incredible people. My life is amazing. I just believe the world is getting better. Every day, I just believe the world is getting better. I believe that people are innately kind at heart. I believe that life is good and always is and always will be. I believe that things are always getting better for me. I believe that things are always getting better for me. I believe that someone is always looking out for me, that everybody is on my side. I believe that everybody loves me, that people really love me. Oh my gosh. And I believe that love is abundant. I believe that love is one of the most abundant things on this earth, just as abundant as air. People always talk about all these different natural resources running out, but one thing we're not running out of is our most needed and crucial natural resource, the air. The air that we breathe that fills up our lungs. Can you feel that? That air that is God, that somehow people forgot about because you just can't see it. It's hard to remember the things that you don't see, and that's why people say make a list and put it in a place you'll see it. Because when you stop seeing something constantly, you start to forget about it. So a lot of times you look out, and instead of seeing the air, you see the trees in the distance. You see the house in front of the tree, or you see the birds flying in the sky, or you see the clouds. But when do you ever see the air? That air, the air that you breathe, when do you ever see that? And because you don't see that, you forget that it's there. But in a moment when it disappears and you can't get access to that air, then you remember how good it feels to breathe that air. And that's what it truly means to have gratitude. Having the power to be grateful for the air is true gratitude. Waking up every day with a sense of appreciation for this air that is a gift to us because it contains all of the minerals and the things we need, the elements that we need to breathe, to live, because without the breath, you will not have life. Without the breath, you will not have life in this human body. Which is important to think about. Because thinking about the babies in your womb, their spirit is alive and well. But their body is just like an incubator. It's not, wow. And their spirit is just in this thing that they haven't even discovered is their body, because they're still embracing fully that spirit which they are, until they come out and take that breath that gives them life in this human body, because their spirit is always alive. Their spirit is always alive, even for those babies that didn't make it into this world. Their spirit is still alive. Because spirits are all that is. They take up all of the particles of the air. They can embody the air. They can be a chair. They can be any and everything at once. Everything. And that is how I feel about love. That love is just like all of that air. It's so abundant. But you can't see it. You can't see it, and sometimes you forget that it's there. Not only that it's there, but it's there in abundance. By the boatload, you can't even package how much love is in this earth, is available to you. You are so loved that you are breathing right now. You are so loved. 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 Oh my gosh. And that is my biggest goal with everything that I do. With everything that I do, whether it's my meditation classes or my sharing of this or modeling or anything, everything that I do is to embody and show the world that a love like this exists, that this love is real. And it's so abundant, and it feels good. It feels amazing. It feels amazing to be loved like I'm loved. It feels I feel so overjoyed. I feel so full to the brim with love that I just want to pour it all over. I want to pour it all over you. I want to pour it all over them. Every and anybody I meet, I just want to pour unto them this love that is within me, because it is coming from a never-ending stream, and I can't keep it all to myself. I can't. So it's an honor for me to be able to share it with you, with them, everybody. And I don't ever look for you to return it, because your love is never going to feel like the kind of love that is filling me. It's not. I'm grateful for it, but I don't need it, because I'm filled by my ultimate source. It feels amazing to be loved in the way that I'm loved. And that's why I'm so easy with my love, so giving with my love. And I represent that even in the colors that I wear. And I wrote today, when I was thinking about life and transition, that my transitioning of life ceremony, I want it to be a transitioning of life ceremony. And I want people to dress like they saw me, to embody me, to be love, to walk in there and be love. Not give love, do love. Be love. Embody what love is. To be colorful, to be bright, to show themselves. Because when you show yourself, you are truly reflecting love. And that is why that's what I get back. Because every day I'm growing more and more into myself. And myself is bigger than this body. And so it takes up this aura, this energy center. It's like how I said we're all suns, right? And some of us take up more space than others. And that's why when certain people walk into the room, some people, no one turns around. And then there's other people who walk into the room. They didn't have to make any more noise than the other person who walked in, but all eyes are on them. Why? You know, like immediately all the people could be here looking, facing in one direction, because maybe that's where the band is. And then all of a sudden, this person walks in silently. People even ahead of them will turn around as if someone called their name or tapped their shoulder. You know the kind of people I'm talking about. And maybe it's you. And why is because this spirit that is the true essence of who these beings are is pouring out and reaching way, way farther than just their body. Sometimes it engulfs a room. And so they demand attention. And not because they're demanding it, but because other people's spirits are calling for it. So when it gets near, it's like the frequency they've been looking for. Oh my gosh, it's you. And just by being in that space, that energy is feeding the room. And that's why they say positive energy is 10 times, 20, even greater times more powerful than negative energy. So it doesn't take 7 or 8 billion people to all have that light shining bright within them. It doesn't take all 8 billion people in the world to be positive, to have a positive outlook and have positive expectations, and to feel like life is good and getting better, and to think that the world is a great place and that people are great things and that life is really good. It doesn't take all 8 billion of them to believe that. It just takes one. It just takes you. And you will change the lives of millions or billions. Just by showing them that this life, this kind of love exists. It's like proclaiming that God is real. Like, God is real. You know how I know it? I'm breathing. And in every molecule of oxygen, every molecule of air, I'm inhaling God. Each one of them is God pouring into me. Each molecule of me, God. Guys. Anyway, this is what God business is. This is God business. The business of existing. This is God business. The business of being. God business. Being love. Being love. And not because any 10 commandments or something said you should be like God, you should love thy neighbor, or else you're going to go to hell. It's not about or else. And if you're only doing it because you're scared to go to hell, you might as well already say you're living in hell. Right? Because you don't need to die or transition to get to heaven or hell. That is a state of the mind. Because when your body is free from, when your soul, your spirit is free from this body, it's returning to all that is. And all that is eternal peace. All that is all that is. There's no hell in all that is. All that is beautifully all that is. It's just like when you look out into nature and you see peace. The trees never have to go to war with the trees. They just grow. Sometimes they grow together. Other times they grow apart. But they just grow. The birds, they just fly. They run out of food here. They don't take up their stakes and complain to the bird council and say, we used to get our food here, but it's not here anymore. They just get up and fly and find themselves provided for again. And they take up space, they enjoy, and when it's time to migrate again, they do it. There's peace and harmony in nature. Why? Because it exists in knowing that it exists in all that is. And so when your spirit leaves these flesh bodies, it returns to being just like nature, at peace, because it is in all that is. It's not in that body that lays underneath the ground. You don't have to go to a cemetery to speak to someone you love that has made their transition back to full spirit. You just need to be. And as you be, all of those spirits can be with you. All of those spirits that you knew in their physical form. You thought you knew them just because you saw what they looked like. But you know them because of the connection you have in your spirit. And that connection lasts for a lifetime. for lifetimes. So if you're thinking about how to communicate with your ancestors or past loved ones, all you have to do is breathe. 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 You are ready with all of your ancestors. In every moment, all day long, all of them abound around you. Sometimes they give you messages about their presence. Other times they just exist there with you, watching you, but also watching the waterfalls in Victoria Falls. And also in another country, watching over your cousins. They're everywhere all at once. They're omnipresent. Truly omnipresent. And that's why it's not just a God, like one God. We're all God. Like God created us in their image and likeness, right? We came from that spirit that was God, right? Just like how babies come from, their spirit comes into a physical union with their mother's spirit inside of that body. All right, their spirits are already connected, and now they have a physical connection in that umbilical cord. Then they leave, and they're still connected with that spiritual cord that existed long before, right? And this spirit came from the spirit of their mother, which came from the spirit of another, which came from the spirit of God. So just like every fractal of the light that comes from the sun is the sun. If I go take a cup and I go to the ocean and I scoop up a cup of that ocean water, what's in my cup is the ocean. The ocean is in my cup. The ocean is in my cup. Yes, the ocean is right there where the sand meets all of these ripples. This is the ocean, but the ocean is still in my cup. And that's what it is. We are all like those glasses that have been taken and dipped inside of this ocean being God. And then there's us, right? I don't have the same capabilities to physically change the shape of the mountain, because the ocean is the collection of all that is. And so it has the power within it to physically crack rock. That soft, gentle water that makes up the ocean has the power to crack a rock, because it's all that is. It is unified in its knowledge that it is all that is. But anyways, so I am a cup of that all-knowing, that all that is. I am a cup of that I'm literally a cup. There I am, a cup of what? The ocean. So I am the ocean. I came from the full cup of God. So I am God. I am God. I am God. I'm God. Like, I am. And so are you. And the quicker you realize that, the quicker your life is going to get. And that's why I feel so full, because I'm connected to all that is. And that's why no human love, it's so nice to be loved by other people. It's so nice. But to me, what feels even nicer is loving all that is. Because all that is what feeds me. All of this air that I'm breathing in is the love that enriches me. It enriches my body, it enriches my mind, it enriches my spirit. I am full because I am connected to all that is. I am full completely all the time, every day. I awaken in love, I sleep in love. Everywhere I go, there is love. Because I'm connected to all that is. And then, of course, you reflect what you are. So that's all I get back. So it's interesting to me when people say only 5% of the world sees the world like you do, are positive and pure intentioned and loving, because that's 100% of my world. 100% of the people in my world are pure intentioned, are loving. Okay, let's not say 100%, but I am able to identify what's not. And therefore, in the smaller world that I create, in my world that I live in, 100% of those people are. Because I'm aware, because the light is in me. Because I am God and I know it. It's not that we're different because I'm God and you're not. I know it. I know it. I know that to be true about myself. I'm God. And it feels so good to know that, because I know who my parents are. My parents are God. I was created out of that rich, deep, ever flowing, ever mystical, ever powerful, ever present source. That's the air, that's the water in the ocean, that's the cells that make up my body, the light that feeds me from miles and miles away, the sun. All of those things, they feed me because all of them are God. God is in everything. God truly is omnipresent, just like spirit, just like I am, just like my mother is, just like all of everything that is. We are all that is. We are all that is. You are all that is. You are all that is. You're all that ever will be. And it's just so beautiful to see that, because I have such peace. I have such peace. I just have such peace. Like, the world is really great. It feels so amazing to be here. It feels so amazing to be here. And I'm so grateful to be experiencing this life. And when this human life takes its end, I pray that those who love me will continue to love me and not mourn, but celebrate, because my spirit is free. My spirit is free, just like my mother's spirit is free. Her spirit is free, and she's able to take care of everyone she loves all at once. It feels so good to be alive. It feels so good to be alive. God, thank you for this practice. Thank you for this practice called life. For all of the experiences I've had have led me to the place that I am now. A place of knowing that you exist. A place of feeling, of believing, of experiencing, of living at home with you, God. Thank you, Source, for the power you feed me, the life you give me in every breath that I take. Thank you for a constant reminder that life is good in every breath I breathe. I pray that in this week we continue to remember the powers of all that is, and remember that power is what makes us up. That power is who we truly are. Thank you. I see you. So guys, thank you for watching this or listening to this. If this resonated with you, consider giving me a like and comment your thoughts or anything that's on your heart. Let me know in the comments. Share this with someone you love. And if you're interested, I am doing a 21-day gratitude practice that is aimed at getting you to feel like I feel. To feel at peace every day. To never need love from anyone else again. To never need love from anyone else again. Yeah, comment below if you're interested in that class. And I pray for an abundance of healing onto you in your life, in your heart. Namaste. And if you're ever wondering what namaste means, it means like I bow to you, in that it's saying I see the light within you. I see the divinity of you. And when I say namaste to you, I want you to understand that I see the divinity in you. When I see you, I see God. I see power. I see beauty. I see abundance. And a whole lot of light. I see God. So, thank you for listening. I see you.